Hey everyone, welcome to episode 8 of the Secrets to Seed Beads. Oh my goodness, this is getting so exciting because each one of our 10 projects are building on the project before, and we're getting really fancy now. This is what we had for our last episode, was this really neat tubular herringbone stitch with an artificial bear claw here and held in with tubular peyote stitch. Wow, I hope you practiced this, and I hope you loved it, and I hope you shared it. And make sure you subscribe to us too to get all 10 episodes of the Secrets to Seed Beads. Okay, let's set that one aside. I call this 3D peyote. You see, it's actually a textured type of bracelet. You could wear it either way. Oh, so many cool things about this. This is an odd count peyote, which we've covered in an earlier episode. But one of the things I really like about seed beading in general, and this bracelet in particular, this is all we need. We need 3 different sizes of seed beads. I'm going to use a button closure, so a button, and a needle and thread. And that's pretty much all we need. So I think maybe we should just get going on this. The hardest part is, of course, this little buttonhole. So we're going to start on this end, and let's get our camera a little closer so you can see what's going on. Okay, this is an odd count peyote. So I've got my needle and thread already threaded. I've already put a stop bead on the end of that. We covered that in one of the earlier episodes. If you've missed it, I hope you get back there, or use a bead stopper, either one. And it's odd count peyote. I've got 11 seed beads. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Yes, always better to count twice and only have to correct. Don't have to correct. 11 seed beads. Pick up one more. Skip the first one and go into the second one. And pull that nice and snug. So it forms this little T-shaped sort of thing. I got 2 seed beads that are side by side. It's a little harder with these. These are tohos. They're round beads, so they don't necessarily want to be side by side. And one that's on its own. And then pick up another bead, skip a bead, and go through the next bead. And we do that all the way down this row of 11 beads. Because it's odd count peyote, you will do a row of 6 followed by a row of 5. And that first 11 beads, that was your first 2 rows. So right now we are adding row 3. And it's sort of forming sort of like a little zipper shape, and that's what we want. Add a bead, skip a bead, go through a bead. Keep everything snug. And if any of your beads don't want to lay down the way you want them to, you tell them where to go. You make them go where you want them. So you are in charge of these seed beads. Making this little T shape. Come on. This one is the one that's causing a problem. It wants to lie next to that one. It's a little more challenging with tohos, I have to admit. Usually, most of the time when I'm doing this, I'm doing delicas. But this one, I want a rounded bead. Delicas are a cylindrical bead. I want a rounded bead so that it can roll around itself. And now's where the odd count becomes important, because we've come to the end of this and I've only got 1 bead left in my first row. And I've got nowhere to attach another bead. So I pick up a bead. Instead of skipping a bead and going on to the next bead that isn't there, I'm going to go back through this first bead. I'm going backwards, the opposite direction I have in the past. Through that bead. And this bead that I just added, it needs to go on top of it. And you can pull all these things tighter and make them all line up, make them all beautiful. But this is the bead I'm concerned with right now. I want it to be right on top of the previous bead. And believe it or not, this is a T shape or a zipper shape. I'm just not being very organized. There we go. Getting a T zipper shape out of that. So I went through this bead. I'm also going to go through this bead, because my goal now is to come back for row 4, is to come through this bead going this direction so that I can put a bead where that gap is right there. So my goal is to get there. And my pattern is one way. There are other patterns and ways to get there. I'm going to show you this one. I'm going to go through this bead and this bead down below. And if I'm fortunate, I can do those all in one swoop. See it? That bead and that one down below. Go through, pull that all nice and snug. Then I'm going to go through this bead up above, this bead, and this bead, all three of them. And if I'm very talented, I can go through all three at once. All three of those. Pull that through. And the reason for all this, and the reason why I'm taking this path, is so that this extra thread will go down into the gutter between threads and it won't be so visible. Because really the most professional seed bead patterns you'll see are really well structured so that you can hardly tell that it is all put together with thread. And here's my goal, to be coming out this bead, going that direction. Now, that was actually a pretty long review of odd count peyote, because that's what that all was. That was just about odd count peyote. And now we're going the right direction. I'm just going to put a bead in each one of the gaps in the same way I did before. Pick up a bead, skip a bead, go through the next up bead. Pick up a bead, skip a bead, go through an up bead. Pick up a bead, skip a bead, through the up bead. Pick up a bead, skip a bead, and go through the up bead. Make sure they're all laying in your holes. You see how this is neatening up now as we get to row 4? It just does that. Skip a bead, pick up a bead, skip a bead, and go through an up bead. Now on this side coming back, we're on row 5. We don't have to do any fancy little geometric gyrations through here. We just go on by pick up a bead, skip this bead, and go through the up bead. After row 5, we're going to add a little bit more of a twist, but it won't throw you because you have subscribed, I hope, and seen all of the previous videos and know that all this stuff we're doing so far is just review. And then we're going to add a little more fun and flair. I'm having so much fun with this series. So if you have seed beater or non-seed beater friends out there, you should make sure you share with them so that they know that it's available to them, as well as all the other videos that are at firemountaingems.com. Okay, so here's the ending. This is where that funny little turnaround is, because I've got no bead over here to attach this to, so I'm going to go backwards into that bead. Make sure this one lines up the way I want, right there. I try and keep my tension nice and tight. I'll even pull on this tail here that I have here, which I can take the stop bead off now. It's secure. So I went through that bead. I'm going to go through this bead, so this one and this one. And then my goal is to come through this bead going this direction. So I'm going to go through this bead and this bead. And notice how I'm hiding that thread down there in the gutter between beads. Bye-bye. And back through this bead. And I am ready to start row 5. Row 5, what's different about it is it's very short. We're only going to do half of row 5. So I only need to add 2 beads. I'm going to add one here and one here. Pick up a bead, skip a bead, go through the up bead. Pick up a bead, skip a bead, and go through the up bead. That's the end of row 5. And we're going to come back this way. We're going to go back and forth just these 5 beads until we get to this point. and we've made an L. So that was our 5 bead row there. Just back and forth, 5 bead row. And now, because we're going to make the buttonhole, this is the gap where the hole is. What I need to do is what's the word I'm using? Oh, skittle. That's my word for it anyway. I'm going to skittle down here, and I'm going to do 5 rows coming up this way. So here we go. This is where we started that here, let's get it the right angle. This is where we started with the little 5-row beads of back and forth up here, and this is where we're heading toward. But I don't think you wanted to watch me do all those little 5 rows, but that is where we went. Now we're just going to skittle down. Skittle down. Sounds like a good song. Maybe a country western song. By just going back through these beads. You can go pretty much anywhere you want. You just want to get back here. And of course, every time you put a stitch in, you really want that thread to hide in the gutter. See, it just sort of disappears on you. You can go backwards, forwards, whatever. Our goal is to be coming out. What is my goal? My goal is to be coming back through this bead in this direction. That's my goal. So let's keep moving. It doesn't matter which side you work on either. Just keep going down that direction. I usually don't go all the way to the edge because that is a place where a thread shows. So I try and keep all my skittling internal within the pattern. That's a little pro tip, I guess. Don't let your thread tangle you up either. Hang on, this is my little tail thread that's getting in my way. Get out of my way. There we go. Out of my way for real. And moving down. Look at this. I don't know if you can see it on the camera, the little gray smudgies. In the last Secrets to Seed Bead, I warned people that sometimes a little bit of this gray from the thread will come off on your beads. And I advised giving it a quick little wipe with alcohol. Apparently I didn't do that with this one because I've got little bits of gray smudges. But that's all right. When I finish the bracelet, I can give it all a big wipe with some alcohol and all those gray smudgies will come off. No worries. Yeah, the 10-episode Secrets to Seed Beading, I really do highly recommend watching them all because there's so many little tips and techniques that will be handy dandy for you to know. So I'm getting all the way down here. And remember, my goal is to come out this bead going in that direction. So I can start planning my path now. How to get there in an efficient manner. So, to be coming out of that bead, I need to start by coming out of this bead. Sorry, I flipped that out of your vision. Hopefully I didn't make a knot. Nope. And I'll come out of this bead. Gosh, it's almost like I've done this before. And back through that bead, and that was my goal. To come out through that bead right there, and we can start our rows of 5 again. So we add a bead, and go through a bead. Add a bead, go through a bead. Don't let anything get tangled up in your work here. Got to catch those right away or else it's difficult to get it out. I'm going to rotate this over. It's a little easier for me. Add a bead. Go through a bead. Add a bead. Go through an up bead. And we're at that funny little turnaround again. But you can see what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep building those rows of 5s so that we can get to this point. Ooh, come here. So here I've continued with the rows of 5, and now things are going to get a little more dicey because we're going to start adding these other sizes of seed beads, which will give us our 3D, and I want to show you the pattern. So here's the pattern with the gap that shows the buttonhole, and we could literally count all these beads. This was the first 5-row half we did. Here's the second 5-row half we did. And we can mark these off as we went along. I can tell you right now, let's see, where are we? We have done all of this, done all that, we've done all of this, and right now we're getting ready to do this row right here. No, we're going this direction. So this row is done too. And we're coming back that way. Okay? Nope, we did that one too. Coming back this way. So the next row is going to be a blue, and a pink. Okay, here we are. We've come out this hole here. We're going to add a blue, and a pink. Here we go. Pick up the blue bead, go through the next up bead. And this looks so complex. It's really not. Just take it step by step, and you'll see it's really just a flat peyote. Next thing we're adding is the pink. And look at the difference in size. It's way bigger than the other one. So tension's super important. This has also got to go on the funny way, you know, the backwards way, because it's the end of that longer row. I'm going to pull it. And there's where it's really important to keep your tension and make sure that lines up. We go through this bead, the bead just below it. This is just the same turnaround that we've done on every other row that we've done. Go through the bead below. Going through both of these beads. And out my target bead right there. And now if we follow the pattern, or just use your mind, because for me, I can see what the pattern is going to be. So next one will be a pink and a blue. And that will show that on the pattern as well. If you choose to use a pattern, which is fine too, we did this row we just finished, blue, pink. The next row is the pink and the blue. I don't want anybody to feel bad that they need a pattern, because this can be visually difficult. Putting on a blue. Coming back this direction, I'm going to need a blue, and a pink, and keep all that stuff super tight, because now what's happening, look, these beads don't fit in with those blue beads at all. So we have to pull them really tight and like encourage them to actually curl up so that there's hardly any airspace gap in there. Just keep it really tight. Keep your tension super tight on this. And now we're going to add another pink. And again, this is our turnaround, so it has to go backwards and wonky and everything like that. So we're adding a pink, going through the blue that's diagonally below it. And I'm always keeping that tension tight so that I want it to gather and pucker and get weird. This is a weird pattern. I'm going to go up through this pink and that pink, those two pinks right there. Out with the thread falling into the gutter. There we go. And back through my target bead. Keeping all of this tight. Don't worry that it's puckering. We want it to pucker. Now we have to add, and be aware of your ups and downs. As the size changes, it's hard to tell which are your up beads and which are your down beads. That's an up, up, up. Even though it's way down, this is actually an up bead because it's up above this blue one. Okay, add a pink. And now we're going to add another pink right here. Now I'm coming back this way. I'm going to add another pink. Pulling everything really tight and letting it get wonky. Wonky's okay. And this is one of the reasons I choose fire line, because it's a very, very strong line. It's used for fishing as well as for seed beading. Let it pucker, let it get weird. And now it's time for a purple. We're getting even bigger. This is a size 6 seed bead. Look at the size of that baby compared to the others. So it's going to feel weird. Have you ever played with a spirograph? Remember the first time you tried to make your pen go around and around the spirograph and it just felt weird? And you have to relax and just get into it and don't worry about the weird. Let the weird be. I'm going to go diagonally down through this one because this is that funny turn we always have to make on an odd count peyote. And then I'm going to go through these two beads, this pink and that pink. So we can come out that weird little purple guy. Aha, now we're going to get fun again. It's time for another purple. And always encourage these beads to buckle. We want them to buckle. And a pink. And now, these are my two up beads. This purple one and this pink one are my up beads. It is time for another up bead right here where my gap is. This is going to finish that buttonhole. So I'm going to add another pink bead that is really not much attached to anything. I'm going to go over to the blue bead opposite. And that is another up bead. So up, up, up. And we're all well and good here because, let's see, that's an up. Yeah, then we'll put in another bead here. Hopefully I'm right, yes, and another bead here. And there we have a lovely pattern, all okay, schmoozy, wonderful. Up bead, skip up bead, down bead, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down. And we're back to a normal, ordinary 11 wide pattern. Cool. So let's go back across here. And solidify this by adding beads, skipping a bead, add a pink. There we go. And another pink. And a purple. And we will add another purple here with that funny turnaround. But I just want you to get the idea here. We are following this pattern again. So we're all the way up here. And we've added another purple down here. So we can go to this bigger version of my pattern. Pretty soon we're going to start up here with this one. From now on, through the rest of the bracelet, it's simply a back and forth, odd peyote count, keeping your tension super, super tight so that we get something like this. And you may need to encourage these beads to form those little rounds and things like that. And I really don't have any more tips for you except to keep going, follow your pattern. Keep going, keep going. Don't give up, never give up. Keep swimming, keep swimming, keep swimming. Until you get this entire bracelet the length you need for you or your loved one you're making it for. And when you get down to this end here, you're going to do a bit of blue. This is where you can also do some adaptation. For people who have a smaller or longer wrist, you can make this section a little bigger or a little smaller. Now we're just going to add the button. Button, button, button. There's the button. And also, you would also, somewhere along the road, if you don't have a button that's exactly this size, you may have adjusted also the length of your buttonhole. You might want to test that before you sew it on for real to make sure that it's going to work just right. Make sure you sew it on the side you want it on too. I like the bumpies up on my wrist. So I've picked out a mid bead here. I think I'm going to move it a little closer to the end. Pick that bead right there. So when I finished my pattern, I came out of this hole. I'm going to do a little bit of skittling to get to where I want to add the button. Skittle, skittle. Pick yourself a target and head toward it. Mm-hmm. Skittle, skittle. I don't think that's the official term for what I'm doing. It's weaving into the pattern or something like that. I like to use the term skittle because it seems to describe it really well. And I'm going to make it mine. And maybe other beaders like you who enjoy these patterns and enjoy watching these videos will pick it up and share it. Here is my target bead. I've just come out of it. I'm going to go through my button, back through my target bead about 3 or 4 times, or as many times as I want. This is actually going to take a lot of pressure, so I might do it more than 3 times. So through my button, through my bead, pull it all up, through my button, I'll go back through my bead a few more times. I think you've got the idea. And when I've gone through as many times as I want, I will skittle my thread back in to make it secure. Isn't it gorgeous? I love this 3D bracelet. It's so fun and kind of silly, and that's why I love it, I think. And using only 3 sizes of seed beads, a button, and needle and thread. How cool is that? So this was episode 8, I think, of the Secrets to Seed Beads. We've still got 2 more to go. And next time, the next episode, we're going to go from kind of silly and fun to elegant and sophisticated. Ooh, isn't that pretty? Oh, I love this. This is using chenille stitch, tubular chenille stitch, some more of our peyote, and a tubular peyote that is used to encase a cabochon with changing sizes so that it fits that cabochon perfectly. Oh, I hope you join me. Join me for this. Make sure you subscribe, share it with your friends, loves, likes, whatever. And if you do use some of these great patterns for your inspirations, please send me a picture. My name is Rose. Send me a picture of what you created. I want to know that I'm inspiring you. That would be awesome. So my name is Rose. I hope you enjoyed the Secrets to Seed Beads and all the other great products and instructions you can find at firemountaingems.com. Happy beading, everyone.